They say a man's got to know his limits. Well, apparently mine is the moment I catch 3 so-called community leaders loading 6 months' worth of my winter firewood onto a flatbed at dawn, while the thermometer outside still reads -6. Here's the kicker: they called it community redistribution. That's right. They stole my heat, my work, my damn firewood, and tried to dress it up in a cardigan and pearls and call it charity. I just stood at my kitchen window, coffee cup shaking in my hand, thinking, is this some kind of HOA Hunger Games, or did I move to the wrong side of Montana? Now let me back up. Name's Colt Ramsey, 49, and if you told me 12 years ago I'd be in a legal knife fight with a suburban HOA over a woodpile, I would have laughed myself right off the Denver skyline. But you see, life's got a way of teaching you lessons just when you think you've learned them all. I moved out here for quiet, built my cabin with my own hands, learned how to keep warm in a blizzard, and how to keep peace with my neighbors. At least until they decided my peace looked good in their fireplace. So there I was staring down the queen herself. Karen Langford. She's HOA president, walks around like she's running for governor of this one-street town, redcoat pearls the whole act. Clipboard in hand, smile like she just scored front row seats at the opera. She meets my eyes and tells me, Section 4.8C, emergency reclamation for shared use. She might as well have recited Shakespeare. All I heard was, we make the rules, you just live here. I said, that's my wood, that's my fence, that's my land. She grinned. Oh, she loved this and pointed to some plat map from 2019 that, according to her, said half my yard was common space. Never mind the fact I'd staked this fence line back in 2011, paid the surveyor myself, got the receipts, the stamped permits. Hell, I'd even taken photos of each post as I dug them. But none of that mattered when you're dealing with people who believe paperwork only counts if there's signatures on it. Look, I'm no stranger to a legal scrap. Used to prep cases for a living back in Denver, real estate fraud, property disputes, you name it. So when Karen and her HOA board started pushing new expansion maps trying to annex every inch between the creek and the ridge, I knew what it meant. It wasn't about boundaries, it was about power. This wasn't my first rodeo, but it sure as hell was about to become my most personal. The night after they took my wood, the temperature dropped below 0. Generator running on fumes, last of the kindling in the stove, and I'm left in the dark with a notebook and a flashlight making a list. Evidence, violations, quotes, license plates. I knew the drill. First, prove possession. Second, prove they took it. Third, prove they knew it was wrong. And trust me, I was already halfway there before the snow even let up. Next morning, I hiked to the mailbox 3/4 of a mile through calf-deep snow. HOAs left a flyer, emergency redistribution firewood available on request. Signed, Karen Langford. Right under that, a fresh citation nailed to my door, $480 fine for unauthorized storage on HOA-managed land. That's right, they fined me for storing firewood they'd just stolen. I laughed. Not a happy laugh, the kind you make when you realize you're in a cartoon and the coyote just dropped the anvil. You'd think that would be the low point, right? Wrong. That night I'm digging through my files, old deed survey maps. A letter from the original developer stating clear as day that my parcel kept full rights and fuel storage. Meanwhile, the trail cam footage I'd kept running by the fence line just in case shows those wood piles aging quietly untouched year after year well inside my boundary. 3 days later, I'm waiting at the county recorder's office with a stack of paperwork. By noon, I've got certified copies proving something big. The updated plat map the HOA had been waving around wasn't just misleading, it was outright forged. My property line and at least 3 others shifted by more than 16 feet. That's not a clerical error, that's fraud. I drove home into the teeth of a snowstorm, clutching that folder like a loaded gun. Now you can mess with the man's property. You can even mess with his pride. But when you mess with his heat in the middle of a Montana winter, when you try to freeze him out with a pen and a smile, you're going to find out what real trouble looks like. I whispered. You picked the wrong paralegal to freeze out and started building a case. I was done playing defense. What they didn't count on was that I wasn't alone. Word gets around in small places even when people pretend it doesn't. My neighbor June, old tough as boot leather, calls me panicked. Colt, they tagged my propane tank. Said it's community property now. My late husband set that tank before there was an HOA. I told her, take photos. Mark the coordinates. Don't move a thing. She laughed a little. You think they're watching us? No, I said, but it's time we started watching them. The next few days, I'm everywhere. Photos, receipts, notarized maps, camera angles. The more I dig, the uglier it gets. Fake votes, phony meeting minutes, citation patterns aimed right at the folks living closest to the boundary. Old deeds, inherited parcels, the kind of owners who don't check their email every day. The board thought they'd picked the easy marks. Instead, they'd picked the ones most likely to fight. They tried to drown me in paper. More fines, threats of liens, letters about community safety. Then someone cut the wires on my generator. Clean professional, not an accident. I found a note nailed to the door. You're not above the community. No signature, no letterhead. Just cold words for a cold night. That's when I realized they weren't just hoping I'd go away. They wanted to break me, force me out, make me the example. For a minute, I almost let them. But then I remembered my brother. How the system chewed up his farm after a bad year. How nobody believed him until it was too late. That's the moment I decided no more running. I called Deputy Morales, gave him the proof, made it official. I wasn't hiding. Not anymore. The twist, though. The guy who drops off the next courtesy packet from the HOA, Danny, couldn't have been more than 25, nervous as a deer in headlights. He actually whispers, "Man, I just do compliance runs. I don't make the calls." When I tell him the truth about what's happening, he goes pale. "You don't want to be holding the clipboard when this blows up, kid," I tell him. Next thing I know, Danny's dropping me a paper bag of mistakenly shredded board memos, proof the board was targeting specific properties for Q4 asset repurposing. Sometimes help comes from the last place you expect. After that, the dominoes start falling fast. The reporter from Flathead Ledger shows up, Marcia, sharp-eyed, no nonsense. I show her the binder, the trail cam footage, the receipts, the overlaid maps. She whistles, "This is a pattern. You're not the only one, are you?" "Not by a long shot," I say. Then the phone calls. Anonymous tips. They took my dad's generator, said it was shared infrastructure. They moved our fuel tank while we were at the hospital. Each new story adds another brick to the wall of evidence. I build folders, timelines, affidavits. My old buddy Haskins, now a civil attorney, agrees to help pro bono. "Get 3 more residents to testify," he says, "and I'll file an injunction. By the end of the week, I have 5, all notarized, all angry, all ready." But the board doesn't back down. Instead, they double down. Suspicious payments. Kickbacks to Karen's cousin's landscaping company for emergency fuel redistribution. No votes, no audits, just blank checks and a smug smile. That's embezzlement in a snow parka. I dig up Montana nonprofit law. HOA ledgers are public and Karen's been hiding them behind a fake portal. But old PDFs, they never die. I find everything. Meeting minutes, vendor logs, payments for services never rendered. $68,000 gone in 2 winters, labeled asset removal. Here's the cinematic moment. New Year's Eve town hall. Half the neighborhood packed into the HOA meeting room, some angry, some scared, all watching. I step up with my binder plug and a USB. Up on the projector maps, time-stamped photos, video of Karen yanking out a survey stake at 1:41 a.m. I lay out the evidence, forged maps, fake votes, targeted fines, sabotage. Karen tries to shut me down. I keep going. "Anyone here been fined this year for storage, for boundaries, for fuel?" Hands go up one by one, then all at once. That's when you feel it, the room shifting, the power draining away from the board and into the crowd. June stands, voice shaking but strong. "They made me feel crazy for questioning a pink survey stake. The dam breaks. It's not just me anymore." By the next morning, the board is in retreat. Karen resigns through a notary, vanishes like footprints in fresh snow. The state opens an investigation. Forensic accountants pick through every line item, every check. Fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy, insurance abuse, they find it all. And the best part, the community, the one they tried to divide, starts coming together. We hold firewood splitting days. The same folks who watched them steal from me now help me restock my pile, fix my generator, check on June and the others. There's a moment in every fight where you realize it's bigger than you. Mine came when a neighbor's nephew called from out of state, furious, ready to file charges after seeing the trail cam footage of the board breaking into his parents' shed. Or when Elise, my old friend from Denver, helps me draft a restraining order to freeze the HOA's accounts. The judge signs it that day. Suddenly the ones in charge aren't so untouchable. It doesn't stop with Karen. One by one, the rest resign. Janet, the secretary, caught on camera at midnight with a clipboard. Daniel, the treasurer, disappearing after a mysterious leave of absence. The interim board calls for a recall vote. The community shows up, 61% sign the petition. On voting day, it's 174 to 11 for immediate removal. Just like that, the old guard is gone. No more service of community, no more threats, just silence. But see, here's what most folks get wrong. Justice doesn't end with a resignation. Justice is messy. It's rebuilding trust, writing new rules, making sure it never happens again. We pass new bylaws, yearly third-party audits, resident rights, charter majority approval for any map change. They even call it the Ramsey Rule. I didn't want the credit. I just wanted the truth. Spring finally comes. The last snow melts, and the woodpile is restocked, not by mandate, but by neighbors who remember what it means to be a neighbor. I get a letter from the Attorney General. Formal investigation launched, compliance hold on all HOA activity. The community changes. People talk. They listen. June gets a seat on the new board, her wool coat now a symbol of quiet strength. I turn down a seat. I don't need power. I've got my voice back. One day, Danny, the kid with the clipboard, shows up, fixes my generator, volunteers for the new oversight team. Funny how things turn around, he says. I nod. Sometimes all it takes is one person refusing to go quietly. You know, there's a lesson here, but I'm not here to preach. Just this silence is where the bullies thrive. Don't let them have it. Document everything. Ask for the map. Save the receipts. Because when it's your turn, when they come for your wood, your fence, your land, it's not paranoia. It's just that you saw it first. Justice, it cracks like firewood and it burns. So tell me, where do you draw the line between community and control? When does service become self-interest? If you've ever faced a board, a boss, or a neighbor who thought they could rewrite your story, I want to hear it. Drop a comment below. What's justice look like in your world? Because out here, the only thing colder than a Montana winter is letting the wrong people stay in power.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video. Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.